podcasting will be a thrill. Grandpa and chill, grandson and friends. Grandpa and chill in full effect. We talk about it all, yeah, put it all on the set with that pet craze too. We chillin' with Rosie, come through, stay tuned, yeah, listen closely. Cause this the millennials and the silent generation coming together, discussion in rotation. This is Grandpa and Chill.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Fox with another episode of Grandpa and Chill. I'm here with my incredible co-host, as always, Phines, our amazing producer, Sierra, and my grandfather. So today, a very special guest, amazing actor, producer.
I bet you say that to all your guests.
Yes, I do. You listen to the podcast, it's great. One of the coolest people I know and also a friend, Cait Cortelyou, if you could tell everybody just a little bit about yourself.
You want me to tell you a little about myself?
Yeah, tell me specifically about yourself.
Sure. Well, I am an actor and recently a filmmaker as well. I started acting when I was a kid, when I was 8, when I fell in love with Shakespeare, which is not something I think is super common for 8-year-olds to fall in love with. And followed that all the way to New York for high school or for college. I've been an actor since I was a kid, and I was really into theater, and I moved to New York thinking I would do Broadway. That was my goal. I wanted to sing on Broadway. And I quickly started swerving away from that and getting really interested in film. So for a long time, I'd known that I wanted to make my own film. Anyone who's listening who's an actor knows how incredibly hard the industry is and how much it's sort of luck and waiting around, hoping for an opportunity, hoping for a chance to do your job. And I'd been doing it since I was a child, and I was super sick of it. So I knew I wanted to just make my own opportunity. And then simultaneously to that, my mom was a volunteer for Planned Parenthood, so was my grandmother. And I began volunteering as well in after college because I wanted to do something. Again, I felt like everyone was just posting things on Facebook and sharing links and not actually doing anything. So I started volunteering. And sometime in all of that time, I learned about the Jane Collective, which was this group of women in the late 1960s who performed underground, illegal, safe abortions before Roe versus Wade was passed. And it felt like everything was suddenly coming together, my work as an artist, my work as an activist. And I was like, I need to tell their story. Like, if I don't know about these women and this thing that happened, and I went to an all-women's college, I'm the third generation of women in my family to volunteer with Planned Parenthood. If I've never heard of them, how many other people who should haven't? So I sort of felt like no one else was going to do it, so I had to step in and learn how to produce. So I was really learning as I went. I hired someone who knew more than me to learn from. I interviewed a lot of people before setting out on it, and we made an entire feature film called Ask for Jane. And it opened up right before the pandemic in theaters. So that's my concise-ish journey.
Yeah, I met you at a Renaissance festival with Carl, and
Yeah.
I remember you guys were just so cool, but also in your two's work, it's like very ethereal and like magical. Would you agree with that? I don't know. And
What is ethereal and magical?
your acting, just the work that you guys do. I don't know, like the essence that you bring. Yeah.
I will say I don't think if you would describe a movie as gritty or something, that's probably not my kind of project. I do like some whimsy and some beauty, and I'm very inspired by, aesthetically by nature. So Carl and I actually have a production company together called Sabatis Productions, which is named after this Boy Scout camp where he basically grew up. And it's in danger of shutting down because people aren't very into the Boy Scouts anymore, or the Scouts, it's just called the Scouts now. Anyway, we're just worried about this gorgeous place in the Adirondacks being lost and people not being able to enjoy it anymore. So we named our company after that.
Yeah. It's beautiful. I think it's really like cool and crazy we talk all the time about, because uh, everybody on the podcast in some form is like an artist here, and we have a lot of guests that talk about like, I don't know, just trying to make something happen or produce something and actually create. And I say it all the time, but it's so rare that something gets done. It's like an anomaly. Like everybody has a script, everybody has a dream, everybody has a project that, you know, it's on everybody's wish board and habit list. Um, uh, Maybe a handful of people I've ever met on a personal level have ever accomplished it. So I think that's really cool, and I'm just curious what that like leap was to get something done.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a lot harder to make things than to just come up with the ideas for them. I think the biggest thing in this case was just how much bigger it was than me, because it's incredibly hard to make a movie, way harder than I knew going into it. I think if I'd known how hard it was, I would have been more frightened. I should have been. Um, but every time it got hard, I would just think about all of these people whose stories I was trying to tell, people who I I mean, I thought this was going to be a time capsule piece, honestly. I didn't think it was going to be so relevant. When I started making this, it was before Trump was elected even, and I just felt like people should know women's history because it's often swept under the rug and not taught in schools. And now the fact that it is increasingly relevant every day is infuriating, but also I'm glad that it exists. Um, and so, because it's so much bigger than me, it wasn't ever really about ego. It was really, I think, having the cause is the most important thing to actually making it manifest. And that's why so many other people jumped on board and wanted to help too. The financiers, the actors, I mean, everyone, all the actors, and we had name talent. The woman who played my mom, Allison Wright, was nominated for an Emmy while she was in hair and makeup in our set. And they're all working for the same price. They're working for scale because they just believe in this mission. They believe in the story.
Oh man, cool. There's so much cool stuff. Well, let's talk about, since we're on this topic. When you're talking about action, and you were sitting when you were watching all the stuff going on, and you wanted to do action, and how that was um, a really cool and admirable thing to do. And you guys answered a lot of the questions I had. But first was like, what what was what was your way to do action? But it was to be a storyteller, to teach people, to get them to be. But I don't know. I'm just really nerding out about like also the ego, the like the ignorance is bliss, and going to a big project, but also going in with like just egoless, and it bringing like, and I'm just such a big nerd with community. I love like trying to like, at least the idea of like bringing people together, and I think a big part of it is setting your ego aside and you just bringing a purpose to it is really cool. So like, and you answered all my questions, so I don't really have anything to do besides just like, I'm enjoying the conversation. Yeah,
Well, let's
yeah,
just
it's great.
chat.
I have a question. So, how did you feel? What is the sensation of making a movie celebrating women fighting for their rights and then immediately watching that right be taken away again?
Makes me feel furious. Like I said, I thought this would be a time capsule piece. And the fact that there are still people asking to screen this movie, the fact that there are so many organizations that can benefit from fundraisers centered around it, I should be like, yay, people are interested in the movie, and I'm not. I'm so, can I swear on this show? Is
Oh,
this
for
a show
sure,
where people
girl.
swear? I'm so
Oh,
fucking mad because it's, to me, it's a fundamental right to control what happens with your own body. Right now it feels like lawmakers want to give more rights to corpses than to women and people who can bear children. And it just feels so wrong, and it's like I don't understand how to explain to you to be empathetic. So it's infuriating. I hate it.
Because Brandon sent us the link to watch this, and I started watching it this afternoon, and I'm like, okay, well, like, you already smacked it out of the park. You could do a sequel. You could do a reboot. Say this is the reboot. just put it in Texas or Idaho or Utah or Oklahoma or Florida or Nevada or Nebraska or
I'm
Missouri.
talking to a producer based in Spain who I met on LinkedIn. I've been really into making friends on LinkedIn lately. If you haven't tried it, I recommend it. I've met a lot of interesting people. So I met this producer. He's based in Spain and he works in France and all around Europe. And he loves Ask for Jane and keeps talking about making it into a TV show, making it into an anthologized series of some kind, setting it in different decades or different places. So we've been noodling over this for a couple of years now. We're talking about another project now, but it's on the back burner.
Yeah.
And there's a beautiful movie if you haven't seen it or heard of it. It's called Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. I can't think of the filmmaker's name. Eliza Hittman. It's exquisite. It's a really good movie, and it's set in present day. Or pre-COVID,
wonderful.
present day.
I'll look at it.
Does your movie get into the politics involved? I mean, that's a big part of this issue. Politics,
it does, yeah. It's based on a true story, which started in 1968 and culminates in 1973 with the passing of Roe versus Wade. So the politics are inherent both because what they're doing is illegal. And it's interesting because the women of the Jane Collective, it wasn't politicized action that they were doing. It wasn't they were thinking about Democrats or liberals or voting. They were really just seeing a need and stepping in to fill that need. It wasn't really about politics for them. It was just about helping women. But then, of course, once they were eventually found out in 1972, their court case was impacted because their lawyer, who was a woman, which is also interesting for the time, dragged out the case because she heard that something was happening in the Supreme Court. So she just dragged it out as long as she could until Roe v. Wade passed, and then that affected their case and all their charges were dismissed.
How do you feel about the church being involved in this issue? You know, especially I guess the Catholic Church is anti-abortion. Is that brought up in your movie?
Yeah, a bit. We have we follow a bunch of different women, so you get to see a lot of different perspectives, different backgrounds of the women, different reasons for seeking an abortion. I was smiling when you said that, though, because there was a group operating around the same time, which I think could make another very fascinating movie called the Theological... I'm going to have to look it up and get back to you, do some dramaturgy. But there was a group based in a church that was connecting women to abortion providers. Because, again, they were like, it's not specifically in the Bible not to do this. Like, these women need help, and they're dying because they don't have help. So we're going to help them, because that is the Christian thing to do.
Have we talked about the movie that you're directing now? Or the theater?
I'm not directing.
I'm sorry.
Play.
Oh.
12th Night.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I can talk about that. Yeah, it's a play. I'm trying to direct a play this summer in Atlanta. I want it to be a free Shakespeare in the Park experience, which is sort of, I mean, if we're trying to tie it in, I think it's tied in with community, because my goal is to make Shakespeare accessible and free and enjoyed by all.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
My question, it wasn't a question. I just was wondering if you saw the thing. I think it was Idaho, where the Republicans passed a bill where they're trying to make it illegal to even like leave the state and get an abortion elsewhere. It feels like the whole situation is like swirling downward at a very rapid pace. You know?
And it's so perplexing. Like, what I think is interesting is to try to get at the root of it. Like, why are they so obsessed with this? These lawmakers and these decision makers, why do they care? Like, what is at the root of that? I'm interested in what you all think, because I don't know. I can just speculate. I mean, I guess
probably where they think the vote is.
I told y'all last year when Texas first started this that these are slave catcher laws. These are slave catcher laws. When Texas said, "Oh, by the way, you can't have one. You can't go get one. You can't have anybody help you get one, or you're all going to jail." And And there's a snitching bonus you can get if you snitch on someone that's leaving or trying to help someone leave. Those are slave catching laws. You can't restrict someone's travel out of your state. They just pass these. Yeah, they pass these laws and they write these bills for votes just so they can say, hey, I tried to make your daughters and friends and sisters into cattle. But, you know, they also do it just because they can. Like, there's like weird ass places where there's semi-normal places where there's like elected officials that somehow, you know, get paid in our taxes to do these stupid things year after year. Like, you literally some people just get paid to sit there and make up stupid bills that they know will never pass. But there's places like Idaho and Montana and Texas and Florida and all of them where there's no one to say, no, stop smoking crack. Of course we can't do that. That's never going to pass. That's never going to hold up. There's no normal person in the room to slap them and say that. So, you know, they just go ahead and pass. There's also like, I think this fear of being like replaced as the majority in America. And I think that has a lot to do with it also, because there's a lot of white women that have choice now and have options in their lives, which is catastrophic for a lot of men who have never had to bring anything useful to the table. And now women don't have to just accept that they're not bringing anything useful to the table.
I think what you said about the slave laws is fascinating. I agree. And even a step beyond that, I guess we're all just speculating about abortion access right now, but if women can't get abortions, generally it's people with low income who need them, right? And who are seeking them. And so often those are the people whose children might end up into the military, right? Becoming soldiers. So if you're outlawing abortion in all these places, you're kind of cutting off the access to soldiers.
Yes. In the military, impoverished. When you're poor, you don't have time. A lot of people who are poor, who are working like literally several jobs, don't have time to, you know, read the news and stay up on different things. And those are the people that typically, there's a lot of poor people that vote Republican because they either don't know any better or they're stuck in a region where that's the main group. That's your main demographic, is Republicans. People who do know what's going on but don't have your best interest at heart.
Yeah, and the party itself is dwindling in numbers like year after year.
Yeah,
like
because most of them are old.
Even in spite of gerrymandering and all that stuff, you know. So it's really interesting, like making sure that you can't have access to an abortion in like places that are solely like Republican, you know.
Well, Donald Trump packed the Supreme Court. That's the problem.
We live in hell.
Yeah, I'd piggyback off of a lot of what Sierra was saying. That to me, it just definitely seems like this all seems like power, like an addiction to power. That's where the whole capitalism and patriarchy's from. Like, and like what Brandon said of this, the inability, once you have so much power, life is so easy, and as people get more access to things and you know, it's just a cling to power. Like, they just don't run. It also reminds me of like that. I always like the Audre Lorde essay of a man child. Like, a lot of men in general just aren't, like, we're just not very capable of doing a lot of things without women, or just in the community in general. But we cling to thinking we can do it all, like we're God or something. And consciously or unconsciously, I think that our society does whatever we can to try to keep that comfortable power there, you know, and I think that's what's going on, in my opinion. There's a lot of laws and mismatchy stuff, all the other stuff, and vote and all that, but for the most part, it seems like this power that people want, or men in general.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's also, I was an escort at Planned Parenthood, which meant I was the one bringing women in past the protesters, which even in New York City, there were protesters. So basically just trying to shield them, like act as a human shield and get them into the clinic so they can get help. And it was always the worst when there were women protesters there too, because when it was a male presenting person, it was really easy to dismiss them and be like, oh, they just don't understand. They're not, they can't even ever have children themselves. But when it was a woman, it got a lot murkier and weirder, and it was like a woman talking to another woman. And so I think it's important to think about like yes, maybe sometimes it is about power and it's like an insidious thing, but also sometimes it's people really thinking that it's wrong. I'm so interested in like looking at both sides as fully as I can to understand something, instead of just assuming like I don't think Democrats have everything together either. Like if anything, I'm moderate, but like I think both political parties have a lot of problems to contend with, and the factions do. So
yeah,
I mean, there are people who are against it because they think it really is murder.
Yeah,
and that's a
true.
hard thing to argue with.
Oh, you're very right in not to try to make it so one-sided and be like it's just men looking for power, because I know there's some more caveats in between it. So yeah, I am glad that you actually had that on. I appreciate that. What was I gonna say to add that on as well? Is also.
I have more on that. Oh,
No. I'm sorry. No, we can. It's good. Because this is it. Like talking about it is the key. Like even if like, because I don't always think like I don't think power is such a bad thing. Even I just think that unconscious amount of trying to get it, or trying to like once you're so used to having it, it's a cling to it sometimes happens. I think that people are unconscious of, or conscious of sometimes, and they'll find ways to justify it. But what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna go on with the topic of gender, which I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
Just because I've gotten a lot of questions from working on this project about how do you feel about like being a female producer, or how difficult it is for women in the industry. And it's a weird question because I feel like I've had a lot of advantages just because of the fact that I happen to be a woman. Like I've gone to festivals that I wouldn't have been considered for because I'm a woman. I flew to China to teach a masterclass, and it was because I was a woman. And I'm interested in getting to a place where it's just the fact that you produced a movie that people really like and are interested in, and not the fact that you were also a woman. And simultaneous, and I understand why, because the balance has been so distorted for and the entirety of history, right? But I also think it's dangerous for the pendulum to swing all the way in the other direction, because that's not what we want either. We don't want women to only be in charge. We don't want to be putting men down all the time, and I don't want men to be growing up and just hearing like girl power, boys suck, because that's not good either. Like men are also people. The pendulum shouldn't be here. The pendulum ideally should be in the middle, where we're all respecting each other as human beings, and it doesn't really matter what happens between your legs, because gender is a construct anyway.
Yeah. It also got.
So that's.
No, I feel it. It reminds me of Sidney Poitier saying like, I don't want to just be a black actor, the best black actor. I want to be just the best actor. And as an artist too, I be feeling that a lot. Like I will be damned to hold, at least personally, I don't like the idea of holding like a title plus black, or plus black male, or plus whatever label people have labeled me as, because you're right, it is all labels at the end of the day. And if you made a piece of art, if you made anything, or if you said anything, or if you feel an emotion, it should be respected as what it is, no matter what you are as a being, or like you said, between your legs or whatever, yeah.
I remember my former roommate is a beautiful Shakespeare actor, and he got so excited because he was invited to do this Shakespeare teaching thing with kids, and there was a bunch of really talented actors, and he got there and he's so excited and like proud that he was chosen for this program. And he gets there and the woman in charge is like, oh great, I'm so happy you're here, it's so nice to have an actor of color here. And he's like, oh, I thought you just wanted me because I'm a good actor, not because I'm not white. Like, it made him feel disappointed, and like he deserved it less somehow, and it sucks. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah. When if we want to get really cool and into this, like, when do you think that we'll ever get to a point where we'll be able to be like, hey, you you're just doing good for no label. Just like, hey, this is a person that wrote a good poem and it hit me. Or do you think it will always be like, this is the first cyborg, bisexual, three-legged person, or whatever? Are we gonna keep doing that? Is that gonna be an ongoing thing? Yeah, right.
I think it's interesting too how like when that does happen, it's like when you are like singled out for your gender or your race or something like that, that you end up internalizing that instead of the other way around. Like, oh, like it's so glad to have like a person of color here, and I'm, your thought process shouldn't be like, oh, well, they just want me here because, I'm black or whatever. It should be like, no one else is black here? Like, where is everybody? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's nice? Am I the only one here? Why is that?
How strange.
Right. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, because where is this? Like, excuse me, this is New York. What do you mean? I'm the only one you could find? Where are you looking? I think that's interesting that, we have, like, the habit to internalize that as women or of people of color.
I was living in Atlanta, and I happened to be at a supermarket that was right across the street, almost next door to an abortion clinic, and it was blown up during the time that I was there, right while I was at the store. In fact, they had 2 bombs go off.
Damn.
It blew up, and then
Bombs.
The police started walking towards it, and it blew up again. There was another bomb that went off. That's back a long time ago, but I lived there, and I probably lived right down the street from where you're living now, the way you described your neighborhood, Cait.
I forgot
when
to
I
tell
first
you
moved
guys.
to Atlanta. Yeah.
My Planned Parenthood caught on fire a couple months ago.
Oh my God.
Well, not caught on fire. It was set on fire.
What?
There's like a staggering amount of hypocrisy with the anti-choice movement, I feel like.
They're very confused.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, perpetrating acts of violence against abortion providers. So you're just making more violence happening if you believe that.
I'm so pro-life. I kill doctors. I kill people.
And of course,
set
all
it
of
on
the
fire.
nonsense once the babies are born too, and the lack of help.
That is
not a damn thing. Not doing a damn thing.
I'm curious what you think, Cait, of like a lot of Planned Parenthoods get protested and they have no abortion services whatsoever. They're literally just for both women and men's like health. And
cancer screenings, STD screening, prophylaxis.
Yeah.
Embarrassing. Not even doing your research.
Were the people okay? Sierra and Grandpa?
They did it at night, I think, but the Planned Parent, I don't even know if it's open yet.
Oh wow!
But they had to it's destroyed. Like it's not like burnt to the ground, but it's like it's fucked up. They have to rebuild it. They were closed for at least a month or 2. Let me see if it's open.
Where are you, Sierra?
I'm in Central Illinois.
And Grandpa, did you say you witnessed that happen? The bombing?
I was right there when it happened.
Oh wow!
I saw it happen. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did people die?
I don't recall. It's a long time ago, but off the subject, I lived on like 7th or 8th Street down in Midtown, which I think is close to where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't recall. I just recall the explosion, and then I remember the authorities moving in towards the building, and another explosion.
Oh wow!
And a second explosion. Yeah, it was. I'm trying to describe the neighborhood. It was just north of the perimeter, off of Roswell Road, if you know where that's at.
Mm-mm.
Were the people who did it apprehended?
I don't know the answer to that.
They did?
I don't know. But I'm
Some
going back.
freak
I'm
from
going back now.
Chillicothe.
It's got to be. It's when I first started with Office Depot, and it's got to be because that store that I was in became an Office Depot store, and it's got to be like 20 years ago or more. About 20 years ago, I would say. Probably more than that.
When I was escorting, we were always
What-
scared of
what
something
was-
like that happening, and we weren't allowed to accept any gifts that people would give us. Which, like, somebody came and brought us breakfast sandwiches once, and we were like, we can't take these, and they got mad about it, and we were like, we don't know, like, we can't be certain that you're on this side of the argument here, and
I'm
you're not
sorry.
trying to poison us or something.
I know that's so sorry.
And there were
Oh my God.
there was one time there was like a priest and he had holy water and he was like sprinkling it on us and on the building, and we had to like tell security because they were like, what if it's acid, like you don't know, you can't have people throwing things at you, or so they were weird shifts. We'd be very
Does
paranoid.
this terrify? Did this terrify the women that you were escorting? Like, did it make it that much harder of a
Yeah,
process?
and I mean, a lot of times they would be yelling, just yelling in their faces as they would go in, or physically try to like block us or get in our way. It was weird.
Wow.
It was some weird years.
Were you like trained to console the women, or would you have conversations with them?
Not
or
usually.
it was
We
just
didn't really
sort of-
talk very much. We were really just helping them get inside. Or if they were
Yeah.
sort of waylaid and had, like anti-choice literature that they're trying to push, we wouldn't interrupt conversations. That's not what we were there for. But we would sort of hover semi-nearby and we would look for the scared eyes. So if the woman looked up and looked around, like looking for help or assistance, that's when we would come up and be like, oh, are you looking for the clinic? I can help you in. But otherwise, if they're actually just chatting, then I mean, we're gonna let them chat. We're just volunteers. Like, we can have a conversation. We're just here to help.
Cait, the play that you're directing now, am I correct? You're directing a play. Did I understand you to say that you're going to have it shown in a park? Did I understand that? Is it Piedmont Park you're talking about?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, in Piedmont Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Hmm. You might try the Fox Theater too. I don't know if they're still around, but
They're around.
They're sort
still
of.
are. Oh, wait, is there any relation here?
Well, no,
Is
no,
this
no,
Grandpa
not
Fox?
not to Brandon. No. It's no. It's
I
just
would
coincidental.
be working there if there was a relation.
That's very cool.
They used to be a customer of mine. I sold pretzels, and they would buy pretzels from me. So that's why I'm aware of it. But yeah. So when you go into the park to perform your play, do you have any kind of police backup or anything in case there's any kind of issues?
Well, the play is just Shakespeare, so I don't think it'll be very
Oh,
contentious.
you're doing Shakespeare. Okay, it's not. Okay, I see.
No, it's
that,
12th
that
night.
shouldn't cause a problem.
I don't think so. We're gonna do it on the Claire Mere dock. It'll be beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, this sort of going back to the community thing, because I feel like since moving to Atlanta, I've been really excited about building communities. So there's this Shakespeare in the Park because I want to just access the community. Apparently, there used to be a Shakespeare festival in Atlanta. Do you guys know about this? It ran for decades, and then it finally shuttered in 2014 because they couldn't afford it anymore. And since then, nothing has really stepped in to fill that gap. So that's what I'm trying to do here.
Ooh.
And then Brandon knows I do community events in my neighborhood. Like my apartment complex will do events to foster community and have people actually meet their neighbors. We do 3 events a month. And I'm also leading a group on Friday nights at the Alliance Theater for just artists. It's an open artist workshop. It's free because I said I don't want any artists to feel like they have to be turned away because they can't afford it. Because I've been there and it sucks. So it's just free open artist workshops. Brandon, you got to come to one.
Well, I went to that one, not at the Alliance.
Yeah,
Go,
you were
Brandon.
OG.
Go.
I was OG. I want to go. I just got back
Yeah.
Sunday. Yeah, no, I mean, Alliance is like literally the premier theater in Georgia, so that's crazy. How'd you make that happen?
Well, I was running it when you came at Guacky Margie's, which was really fun and cool. And then they closed.
Good margaritas.
Yeah, which was terrible, and I didn't even know. I just came back from winter break and it wasn't there anymore. And so then I reached out to the Alliance Theater and I was like, hey, I have this group. They're really great, and we're looking for space now. We just lost our home. I wondered if you might have a rehearsal studio that we could use, something like that. And also, I don't want to pay you any money. And we were like, that's exactly what we've been looking for. Come right over. I'll give you a tour. And that's really how it happened. They've been really welcoming. They are excited about any way that they can drive community and engagement and show that they're not just this, shining city on a hill that's unattainable. Like, they are accessible and they want you to come.
Wow.
Were you able to maintain community with like all the Ask for Jane family?
No, we haven't really been as much in touch, actually. And I'd like to be. We should have a reunion or something. That'd be neat.
Yeah. Film is weird. I feel like it's like so intense and then you never see anybody.
It's true. I mean, same with a play sometimes. When you're doing a play, it's like this cast is your family and you are in the trenches for 5 weeks and then it's over and then maybe you never talk again. But maybe you do. Like, I definitely have lasting friendships from plays.
Yeah.
My friend Melody is one of my best friends. We met through her R&J and Z.
Do they have a Renaissance festival in Atlanta? I don't recall.
Yeah, that's where Brandon and I first met.
Because it sounds like the type of production that you're doing could work at the Renaissance festival, possibly.
So, Grandpa, I'm actually working with my partner, Carl, who Brandon also knows. We all play D&D together. Carl and I are working on a workplace comedy pilot that's set at a Renaissance fair.
Wow.
Oh, okay, great.
I feel like I can say it because we've copyrighted the script now. So,
Ooh, copyright.
yeah.
This kind of goes to segue to the question I've been sitting on for a little bit, which is like, for a lay person, what is the difference between like film and theater and like not just acting in it, but more, I guess I'm thinking more the producing and directing side of it for you?
I mean, the biggest difference is longevity, I would say, because theater, and that's sort of why I wanted to direct a play this summer, because I have all these film projects and they just take so long that sometimes it feels like it'll never happen. They are going to happen, but it takes a long time. And I've been craving a little more instant gratification, which is why I wanted to make a play where I plan it and then we rehearse it and then we do it and then it's over. Whereas film, I mean, the fundraising lasts forever. The pre-production, is at least a month, and then you're making the thing, and then there's post, and then there's festivals and marketing, and it just goes on and on and on. So longevity is part of it. In terms of the actual nuts and bolts, I mean, it's getting into lots of logistical territory, but for a film, you need different things on different days. The locations are going to be different. The props are going to be different. There's going to be a lot of differences probably. I mean, unless you're shooting in one room for the entire movie, but like we had lots of locations for Ask for Jane. Versus a play, I feel like all the resources that you need, you assemble them all and then you're just doing the same thing night after night for the run.
Wow.
So it's just structurally totally different.
What a great answer.
Brandon, would you agree? Yeah.
Very different. Yeah, night and day. I hate one and love the other. But
Listen.
do you love it more or less than when you started?
The same?
Mm.
Yeah,
The same.
I always loved it so freaking much, and I still do. There's nothing else in the whole world that I would want to do. And
Yeah.
people are like, oh wow, it must be so hard to be an actor. It must be so hard to be an artist. And I feel like, yes, but also for me, it's harder to not do the thing that I love. It's harder.
We're all a little crazy.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely so.
I think we have this thing.
Well, I know Brandon gave up a higher income with another career to do acting. He wanted to stay in acting, so
Yeah, me too.
I guess
I was
guess
working
he
at a
has-
hedge fund for a while.
Wow.
At a hedge fund, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was a beekeeper, but oh well.
A
Wait,
beekeeper.
but were you ever a beekeeper? Because that would be very neat. Where did be an APA?
Yeah, I am. I'm a
you serious?
certified beekeeper.
You're not joking.
Yeah.
You're joking.
That's
Yeah,
that
yeah, I've been
that's
certified
not what I
since
was
a
thinking
teen.
of. I was thinking of more like something
Oh,
with
yeah.
with computers.
Well, you gave up a high career to fucking make pretzels, Grandpa, didn't you?
Were they really good
You
pretzels?
fucking you were.
He has a patent.
Yeah.
They broke.
Oh,
They
come
broke.
on.
Yeah,
the
I was
box.
written up in Atlanta as having the best hot dogs in town.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the hot
But I
dog.
made pretzels.
I'm kidding. Grandpa's like a genius inventor. You made the pretzel cone. I mean, what do you?
Jimmy Neutron is based off of Grandpa Bart.
Well, my genius can't be attested to by my income. That's for sure.
Usually never is.
Grandpa, I want to hear more from you. I haven't ever met you before either. Where do you live? Can I ask this? We can
I
cut stuff
live
if you want.
I live right out, almost on the borderline of Philadelphia and what's called Montgomery County, right outside of Philadelphia. I live right on the border, and I had lived in Atlanta. Never expected to come back to the area I'm in right now, but my mother developed dementia, and I came back to help with her situation, and got involved in babysitting and remarried, and I'm living like one block from one of the homes that I grew up near, and I never expected to come back to Philadelphia. So you don't know what's going to happen in life. There's some strange twists.
Did you figure out what was happening with the water?
Well, they say it's not a problem where we're at. It's like more towards the northeast section of the city, but so far they're saying that it's not an issue right now.
Don't
Do not
trust
listen
them,
to them.
Grandpa. Do not drink that fucking
Okay,
water.
I woke up and I looked on my phone and I saw like on Reddit it was like, oh, giant chemical leak in Philadelphia. They're telling the residents not to drink the water. And I was like, and I immediately was like texted the group chat. I was like, Grandpa Bart, don't drink the water.
Well, before I knew what about the issue with the water, I was in the supermarket the other day, and I see people leaving with carts full of huge amounts of water. I had no idea what's going on here, but
Yeah, it's like when the cigarette companies tell you
They're fine. They're good for your health.
They're great for
good
you.
for you.
Doctor approved.
They'll
Yeah.
keep you thin and strong and looking good.
The water's safe. The water's clean. Drink the
They
water.
really told women, like, keep smoking. It'll make you look better. Bro.
Yeah.
I mean, and before that, they were like painting lead on their faces, weren't they?
Yeah.
Literally,
Radium
radium
girls, the
lipsticks.
ones that are licking
Oh
their
my
fingers
God.
and
No.
in a factory. They're like, oh yeah, keep
We're in
doing
hell,
that.
bro.
Keep doing it.
God.
Being in hell, Cait, I'm curious, like from your work, what the most positive aspect or the most impactful moments have been, and like where you want to go from here, basically. In hell.
Literally.
I'm thinking about all kinds of hell quotes. Hell is empty and all the devils are here.
Literally. There you.
That's not 12th Night, though. That's the Tempest. Impactful moments from Ask for Jane, you're asking about? I would say a lot of it was in the screenings and the response to those. I still remember a woman who came to one of the screenings with her daughter. And her daughter was probably a teenager at that point, a young teenager. And she came up to me after and she was like, I had an abortion when I was her age, her daughter's age. And I struggled to talk about this with my daughter, and this movie helped me explain. Or like women in talkbacks who would raise their hand and freely talk about their own experience with their abortion. All of these stories, it was like it was holding space for women to talk about them and to feel like they were in a place where they could talk about them. Because I think part of the problem is how heavily stigmatized it is. And just having that window, that opening, a way to point to the screen and say, oh, it was like that. That's what it was like. The service in that, I think, has been one of the more impactful and exciting parts. And also it's been a great tool for fundraising for groups like the National Institute for Reproductive Rights, for Planned Parenthood. We even did a screening for independent abortion providers here in Atlanta. So that's also been impactful and exciting. And in terms of what I want to do next, I'm actually working on another. I have obviously a lot of irons in various fires, but I'm working on a pilot with a friend who is based in New York, who wrote an amazing script that I'm obsessed with and have been for years. So she and I have been talking about making it, about a woman who goes back to her Catholic high school to teach sex ed. And it's set in the 90s. So for me, what I want to talk about next, what I want to do a project on next, is something that talks about comprehensive sexual health education at age-appropriate levels. It's something I feel super passionate about. I think it's the step before abortion access. I think that it's something that everybody should be able to get behind. So that's what I'm excited about next.
Wow.
Wonderful.
It is.
Nona went to, I don't know if I can say this on your podcast, she told me she went to a school where they taught abstinence only here in Georgia. It's just appalling that people still do that when all of the evidence shows how detrimental it is in every way.
They don't care. I did. They don't care.
Absurd.
They don't care. And in Illinois, you don't have to teach sex ed, but you do have to teach HIV prevention. So I had a day where I had to go to the auditorium and have a grown man tell me, like, okay, listen, I'm supposed to tell you, basically, like, I'm supposed to tell you that condoms will help keep you safe from HIV, but condoms don't work. The Lord works. Get out of here, kids.
Oh, wow.
Just stupid.
Oh my
Just
God.
stupid. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's why I don't have a lot of sympathy for, like, all of these different weak links. It's like, it's all rooted in this deliberate misinformation, which, like, literally, like, what is the reason? Like, what is the reason other than to hurt someone with the misinformation
The Lord
and
stuff
to maintain control?
It drives me crazy because at the root of Christianity, or I think probably every religion, it seems like, is just like empathy, love for your neighbors, understanding, helping those in need. And all of these things that people are doing that are explicitly against the beliefs that they say that they tout, you know?
No. It's like 40% control, 60% suffering.
Yeah.
That's Catholicism. That's the Illinois Catholicism.
Makes me think of wealth distribution too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because like all these very fancy houses, so many of them are like, we're a Christian household. And I'm like, are you helping your neighbors or are you adding another wing to your house?
And that's hilarious.
You know what I mean?
And when your child does get pregnant or get someone pregnant, are you going to set up a nursery or are they going away for the summer?
Mm-hmm.
It's so, and even
Amen.
What kind of a Christian are you?
Yeah, and even if they were to say they're all like, oh, I'm practicing what I preach, I'm helping my neighbor. Their neighbor is kind of like, it's lost some of its sting because, you know, you're helping your neighbor, helping your neighbor's son get a job at your firm, you know. I don't know how much is that. I don't know. But, you know.
Your neighbor, yeah, help my neighbor, not your neighbor.
You know, y'all know me. I'm trying to be on love with everything. I'm like, there's got to be a way. Like, I agree with you saying. Like, the root of all religions seem very similar. So I'm thinking, like, we need to follow this thread from the most far left or far right or whatever it is, and find out where it started, like, separating. When did people start seeing so differently? I'm very interested in understanding what is up, bro? Like when did people like say, hey, I'm not gonna teach it? Like when did people decide like, hey, y'all, we should all not teach kids about sex at all? Like, you know, I just don't know. I'm just interested in seeing like what it is, because I am pretty empathetic in the sense I'm like, there's got to be some justification for this. I know you ain't just straight up like evil.
Phines, you know what it is. You know what it is, Phines.
I don't.
You know what it
know
is.
What it is.
I think it's a lack of critical thought. I think it's the fact that people don't know how to...
critical. No, they're very critical thoughts. They're very critical patriarchal thoughts.
No, when I mean like critical thinking. I mean like being able to hear another point of view and turn it over in your mind and understand it and figure out where people are coming from and allow others to change your mind. I think that's what we're lacking as society, and that's where the disintegration is happening, is a lack of critical thinking.
I think the critical thinking is there, and then right before you hit that moment, the intrusive thought that sneaks in that says, right before I get the point, is the point going to diminish the amount of power that I hold in this
so it's
hierarchy?
like selfish, like greediness.
The selfishness, the intrusive thought of selfishness is just right there in the way of getting the point.
So that goes back to the power thing I was talking about.
And maybe it's because you weren't made.
Sorry, go ahead, please.
Because these women that can't get abortions, these children that can't get abortions, where are they supposed to go? They're either going to stay at home where they're being controlled. They're going to get married off somewhere because we still have a bunch of states that allow child marriage. They're going to get wed off somewhere where they will still be controlled because now they don't have a full education and they don't have any life experience besides being shuffled from your home to some, man's house, basically. That's your life now. That's the way it was. There's a movement to bring that very short shelf life of women's experiences back into our society.
And I mean, maybe part of the problem is that, humans weren't evolved to be in such big cities, right? We're still contending with like how rapidly we've grown and resources and how to allocate them. And we're just animals at the end of the day. And we can't really figure out how to exist in this way. This isn't really how we're meant to live.
Yeah. Going even back to thinking more about this empathy thing, like I'm not trying to get too tied up in this, but how far is your empathy supposed to be spread out? Like, like you're saying, since we're animals and we're all like, were we supposed to have was I supposed to see so much on the internet? Was I supposed to see everybody struggling so hard or whatever with all this and that? I don't know. I don't know, because I, of course, want to be empathetic to everyone around me, but another part of me going like, maybe this is too many people. Maybe I just need to stay close to my community here. But then that's where we get into these vicious cycles of like, us versus them. It's tough. It's tough.
It is.
It is interesting to think about like another way of living where we reallocate all these large cities and like have a more even spread of smaller like villages and communities around the world, and what that would look like and what that would do. I think it's a hypothetical. I don't know how you would ever actually make that happen, but it's an interesting thought experiment.
Well, it sounds like we're talking in kind of a broader, more nebulous way about a lot of things, not just the abortion issue. And you may have seen on the news recently where women in other countries, primarily Arab countries, are fighting not to have to be able to show their hair. Have you noticed that? There's been several articles because the powers to be in those countries don't allow them to have their hair out in the open. And so I see people in our country who put on the same kind of garb, and yet I guess they do it willingly or for whatever reason, and yet these people in other countries are being arrested and put in prison and beat up and all types of issues just for wanting to be able to be free to show their hair.
And I think the freedom lies in choice. Yep. I think the freedom lies in them being able to choose whether or not they want to wear it. They can if they choose to, if that modesty feels good, and then they can. And if they don't wish to, they also can. And there are no repercussions either direction.
Yeah, but isn't everyone, in a sense, indoctrinated to what they believe? Aren't we all kind of indoctrinated? If you're taught that as a child and you don't know any different.
I mean, you can be indoctrinated. I mean, you got to hurt somebody for what someone else believes in. Like, I can be indoctrinated to feel any type of way. It doesn't mean I need to yuck your yum while I'm doing so.
I also think, you can break out of indoctrination. I'm always so fascinated by people who were raised one way. I'm thinking about a college boyfriend who was raised in a very, very conservative town, a place where kids in the high schools would walk around carrying a Bible with their school books because it was like the cool thing to do. And so he would carry around Darwin's Evolution of Species. That's what he would carry around pointedly instead of a Bible. And the way that he broke out of that indoctrination, and like I think that that's where you start to get the free thinkers. Even if you're indoctrinated into something that many people think is good, I think it's still important to step back and think for yourself and re-examine everything and figure out what feels right to you.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point about the people in this country wearing the garb, how much of it is influenced, possibly, and I'm talking about the women, how much of it is influenced by their husbands?
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Yeah.
ops.
They heard
It's
the
Texas.
question. Grandpa was like,
It's the Idaho slave catchers. Yeah, I think some of it's culture, some of it's choice, you know. But
yeah.
it is stressful.
Yeah, I think that the important thing is maybe on a federal, state, city, you know, like a government level, separating the sort of religious doctrination from sort of like how everybody wants to live their lives.
Yeah.
It's
Like
so
it.
funny that we say that we have a separation between church and state.
Well, you can't.
It feels like
You can't.
Who
There's
says that?
really no. Yeah, that's a
fucking
big one.
bullshit.
I mean, there's a lot of big lies we're living, but that one's a huge one. I was like, ugh. It's like in the first, it's like in the pledge or something.
I mean, that's, yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
That's like one of the big talking points or arguments for a lot of policy in the fucking
I didn't
country.
even know about any other days of rest besides Sunday until I was way grown. And then if someone was to tell me, "Oh, you know what? Today is your Saturday. You should chill," I'd be like, "That sounds ludicrous," because I've been so indoctrinated into the Christian, what's been going on. That Sunday is and I'm sure lots of people, even though I don't follow Christianity. So yeah, there's no way that it is. Yeah. We're definitely drinking the Christian Kool-Aid here, at least in America.
I'm sort of thinking
Yeah.
back to what you said earlier about will we ever get to a place where it doesn't matter, like it's not brought up the fact that you're black or the fact that you're a woman or the fact that you're whatever. It's just about the art that you made, you know, if we'll ever get to that place. And it just makes me think about celebrating where you come from too, and also celebrating the differences and the things that make you uniquely you. And I'm not sure where the
it's so fun.
line is.
Yeah,
but,
I love it. Yeah.
You know, it's an interesting question.
I mean, it really gets in like.
That's one thing.
Go ahead, Sam.
No,
I
you
was
go
just about to go down
ahead.
further because the technology and internet has added even another layer because you have an avatar and a internet presence now. So now we've even muddied it up forever because I can be a blue turtle as my avatar for as long as I want, and who's to say that I'm not that blue turtle? I mean, it gets really cool. I like it. I'm down. And that might be the answer to things. That might take us away from being so butthurt all the time about people being different. But who knows? Maybe it makes it worse. I don't know. But I guess I'm down to clown since I'm living here still. Woo, hell! I love it here. What are you saying, Sierra?
I love it.
Yeah, what do you think the world's gonna look like in like 50, 100 years? Better or worse?
What it's gonna look like?
Or not
Are you
here at all?
familiar with the tale of Noah's Ark? As long as we're not separating church and state, are you familiar with that? Just water as far as the eye can see.
Noah, yeah, dude, I know
This is what it'll
Noah.
look like in 50 years.
Wow.
Did you feel worried about the planet?
Noah took 2 bed bugs.
So literally it's so scary now. Every time, like my mom will turn on the 5:30 news every single evening, and every single evening it's like 40% just severe weather stories and new places where they're not equipped to handle them. It's so stressful. I'm like, Bill Nye was telling me about this when I was 7, and you bozos didn't do a damn thing.
Mm-hmm. Like, all of these social issues that I care about so much, none of them matter if we ruin the entire planet. None of them.
Literally.
The planet is the most important issue.
It's so stressful.
Yeah. That's like why I don't know if I want to have kids. Because I don't know what
I'm
world
not.
they're going to be born
I could
into.
never.
I never want to have kids.
I literally could never. We live in hell. We live in hell. Like, they're, and that's why they're making, this is why they're making people have kids. Oh, wait, Phines is here and not here. Wait, new Phines.
Oh.
Aha.
I wonder if Phines will be able to see himself.
Right.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
Cool down.
But no, like, kids, but no, like, that's why they're making people have kids. That's why they keep making it. That's why they're making us have kids, is because no one wants to, because we can't afford anything. I bought 3 things at the store. I bought, what did I buy? I bought a gallon of water, I bought tissue, and I bought rice, and it was $30-something. It was like almost $20 or $30. Everything is expensive. The planet is dying.
The American
Half
dollar?
of the country isn't going to be livable soon.
Yeah.
They're turning back. There's going to be a challenge to interracial marriage in the next 5 or 10 years. That's what they've promised.
What?
Who was it? One of the dummies, like, I think it was Alito. It was Alito or someone on the Supreme Court when they turned over Roe v. Wade. One of them was in their comments, like, in their opinion was like, yeah, this is gonna be great, I can't wait, we should do gay marriage next, interracial marriage, like, we should just get all of it. I want to see all this go.
That's
we live in hell.
The slogan "Make America Great Again" literally means, like, to the 1950s. Like,
Literally
that's when
to
they
right
went to
when
regress to. That's when it was great for them.
going right back to when Ask for Jane starts. Like,
Yeah.
they said, I want to go right back to this moment. Like, who would want to have a child? I can't imagine. Not me, I guess. Just not me.
Do you remember when Roe v. Wade initially happened, Grandpa? Were you around?
I probably was, but I wasn't really into it, and really,
See?
I wasn't really into politics at all at that time in my life.
That's what I'm talking about.
I was oblivious to what was going on, In fact, when I moved to Atlanta, I don't know how many years ago, it must have been 40 years ago, I met a young lady there, and she started talking to me about Ted Turner. And Ted Turner was from Atlanta, and he was very liberal. I didn't have the foggiest idea who she was talking about and what liberal even meant. So that's where my head was.
That must be nice. I'm not even mad. I'm not even that mad.
Grandpa, do you have a bird?
I have 3 of them. Do you need a bird?
He had 4.
I saw him walking around on the top of the door, and I was like, "Is it a squirrel? Is it? What is happening over there?"
No, one of them has eaten away part of my wall, so that my wife is embarrassed to have anybody into our place anymore, because it's a disaster. I let them fly free during the day, and then try to get them in the cage at night, and they've taken out part of a wall like about 1.5 feet wide, and from the ceiling to the floor, and they've cut the wires to the air conditioning and the heating units in 2 different rooms. It's a problem.
Menaces.
I would never have birds again, but I'm attached to them now, so
No.
That's Rosie on the door, and if you see the what is it, the poster for our podcast, for our show, it's Rosie like setting fire to the moon or something like that.
Metal.
Oh my god. I didn't know that part of the story, that they're in the vents cutting the power.
Yeah, and I just got a message from the condominium building that I live in that they can replace the heaters. There's 2 of them out, heater air conditioners, for $4,000 each. Whatever.
Who had the bird connect? Was it Victor or Someone had a bird connect for us.
A bird connect. I'm not understand.
Oh, Victor
Was it
Varnado? Where he probably.
Contact Victor.
Yeah. Man, I can't. What's the total number of guests you think we've had at this point?
I can look. I have I made graphics for all of them.
We used to do 5 or 6 an episode.
Yeah, we weren't
Cait.
thinking it through.
That's a lot of voices. It's hard to have an internet conversation.
Different guests.
All right.
No, one at a time.
So season 1.
We would cycle them in and out.
Incidentally, I was in Piedmont Park many years ago, and I heard an owl hooting, and I started hooting back, and it came down, and bopped me in the head twice. Seriously.
It probably thought you were its
did.
mate or
Hit me,
something.
Banged it in my head twice.
I have a super unrelated question. On the podcast, I was listening to the Death Doula, the recent episode, and
Yes.
I heard y'all talk about Grandpa as the silent generation, which isn't actually a term that I was familiar with. Why is that? You are not a silent man, and I'm happy that you are not.
Are you addressing your question to me?
Or anyone, I guess.
I have no idea why I never heard that terminology before.
No, me neither.
That description, I don't know.
Well, you're not a boomer, right? Your daughter's a boomer.
Probably, yeah.
Why are you called silent?
I don't know.
I think
Damn.
That
This
seems rather
says
lucky.
you're characterized as thrifty, respectful, unassuming, and loyal. Traditionalist. You desire to work within the system rather than to change it.
How do you feel about how different the current, like, how do you feel about, I don't know, like kids nowadays, Grandpa?
I think it's like it always was. There's a lot of great kids, and there's just average kids, and there's some that are, problem. They're
Spoken
not,
like
I
a
don't-
silent generation.
I can't really.
and where do we fall? Where do we fall on that list, Grandpa?
Well, you guys are terrific. I mean, come on. You're industrious, productive, and I assume stay out of trouble. So
I mean, I'm interested in just like the time from when I was a kid until like kids now.
I think the quarter is that just
No,
me,
what
guys?
happened?
Your cord might be loose or something, but it's like robotic sounding.
Is it okay now?
Nah.
How am I doing now?
good.
Okay, it's better.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. All right, guys. It's getting to that time. We always do last thoughts on this show. Sierra, what's your last thought?
Cait, you're a gem. You're a gem. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna keep it positive. I'm gonna keep it positive. I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna keep it positive and just say that it's a wonderful discussion. Glad that you were able to come and join us. Everyone should go watch Ask for Jane with a present mindset, not a past mindset. If you're even allowed, no, keep it positive. And I think I've already named 2 different episodes. We live in hell, but maybe the third time's the charm. I don't know what this episode's going to be called.
You should just do part 47 eventually.
But yeah, for sure, like literally go watch Ask for Jane, go rent it, stream it, something, turn it, twist it, bop it. It was very, very good, very informative, just very fun. You get to see Cait's beautiful face performing her buns off. Very, very good job.
Grandpa.
Well, Cait, you have a lovely smile, and you're very smart, and I think you're going to have a lot of success with doing what you're doing with the abortion issue. So good luck with your career.
Phines.
It's a pleasure having you. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for just saying everything with just your full, like, I can feel it, which is great. Good to have the energy here because it makes a difference for everybody listening. And just keep the conversation going and keep connecting. And thank you. I appreciate you being here and helping us be able to do that.
Cait.
All of the closing thoughts were just such nice things about me as a guest, and I'm so honored to be here. I felt quite nervous actually because I knew Brandon wanted to talk about Ask for Jane, and I'm an artist. You know, I'm not an expert on abortion access. There are so many people who know so much more than me. People who work at clinics, people who are medical practitioners, people who are in politics. So I sometimes get nervous for things like this because I don't want to be an expert. I'm aware of how much I don't know and how much I don't even know I don't know. But I thought this was a really lively and exciting conversation about all kinds of things today. And I'm glad we got to talk about abortion access as one of many things. And I appreciate you all and what you're doing. So thanks.
I was a little nervous too, because first, you always do really cool, amazing work and things, but more so just like the experience of having someone from like my normal life come into the like we have Sonny come on sometimes, but he was here in the early days, so he like knows what this is about. I'm like, oh my god, like what is Cait gonna think of the show? And I'm like, oh god, I hope she likes it and the flow's good, all that kind of stuff. But I thought it was a really great episode. You're an incredible guest. Ask for Jane, I think everybody should watch it. And right before you got on, Sierra and I were talking, and Sierra was like, oh yeah, and Cait was just so fucking good in the movie, like as an SO. I just want to throw you that
nice.
compliment.
Thank
as
you,
well.
and thanks for all the nice words about the movie.
Yeah, because I think you're very
it means
talented.
a lot to me.
Yeah,
Loved it.
Cool. So where can people find your stuff, find the movie, socials, all that
If
stuff?
you're finding me, you're gonna have to figure out how to spell my name first, because that's a doozy. But it's Cait Cortelyou on everything. Cait Cortelyou on Instagram, Facebook, my email. Now everyone has it. Ask for Jane, you can find on Tubi. We're also streaming on Google Play, Amazon, YouTube, a whole bunch of places. Tubi is a good one. Tubi is free, so I recommend you just head out there and watch Ask for Jane and enjoy.
Awesome. And I'll see you at Dungeons and Dragons
on Sunday.
Till next time, folks.
Fighting giant spiders.
Grandpa and Chill. We are fighting giant spiders on Sunday. So that's
and
the
it's
show.
nice to be back on with all you guys. Good night.
Podcasting with Grandpa Bart and Rosie, always on his shoulder. This is Grandpa and Chill.
Grandpa and Chill is brought to you by your hosts, Brandon Fox, Bart Frank, and Phines Jackson. Our producer is Sierra Doss. To watch and listen to full episodes of the show and follow us on social media, visit grandpaandchill.com. That's grandpaandchill.com.